Grand rising, powerful beings. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome back to another Ed Talks Daily. We're gonna be talking about how to be productive. A lot of times we have a lot of things we want to do, but we're getting distracted. A call, something happens, and productivity falls off. And little did you know, what you could have done in a day, it took you a whole week to do. What you could have done in a week, it took you a whole month to do. And what you could do in a year, it took you about 10. So being productive is about really understanding that if you are present in the time that you're supposed to be doing something and you do it, what you're gonna do is you're gonna save your time. You're gonna save yourself some time later on. So you bring your presence to what you're doing, so that way you don't spend extra time doing it. So keep tapping in with me, because I'm gonna be talking about how to be productive. Okay? Let's get it. So how to be productive. What do I mean by that, how to be productive? First of all, we have to define productivity. Productivity is you are putting forth effort towards accomplishing something, either a goal, activity, or whatever it is. That's what productivity is. You are producing with your time. A lot of times we have to see if whether we're producing with the time that we have or we're consuming with the time that we have. It's two different mindsets, two different mentalities, two different things: consumption and production. So first you have to understand that, okay, I am a business. I'm gonna manage my time because I'm a business, and I have to make sure that I put in the work to get the results. So I'm gonna manage my time. Not only am I gonna do that, but I'm gonna actually give myself objectives so that I can do certain things to keep my business moving forward. Not only am I gonna do that, I'm gonna review to see where my business is at so I can make sure my business is working. But not only am I gonna do that, I have to produce something out of this business called you. So productivity is you looking at yourself and saying, okay, if I am the chief executive officer of my life, how can I produce something out of this spirit here? So a lot of times we want to be productive in doing day-to-day tasks. And we want to, let's say we have some paperwork we have to do a passport, we have something to do for our Medicare, we have to do something for our finances, something for our mortgage or our rent. A lot of times we look at those things as, I need to be productive and getting these things done because, I kind of have to. They're like parts of life they're like little paperwork of life, right? We do paperwork of life, the things that we kind of have to do, things we kind of have to take care of. But this episode is focusing on productivity as it relates to not just the things you have to do, but the things you get to do. It's a difference. The things you have to do are obligations. The things you get to do are desires. The things you have to do are dreading. The things you get to do is pulling. You want to get to do it. So first of all, if your mindset is I gotta do it, we have to change that before we can even get you to be productive. Now, I really want you to really tap into me. Somebody says, well, you're changing one letter out of the word. You trying to make this all fancy? Nah, I'm not trying to play on words here. I'm literally telling you, when you change your mentality from I got to I get to, you're going to be more productive. Here's why. Obligations don't produce as much as dedications. Have somebody been dedicated to, have you ever met somebody who were dedicated to a mission? And you had somebody who was obligated to a mission? Who would put in more work? The person obligated to do it or person dedicated to doing it? The person who's dedicated. So when you're dedicated to something, you are giving a piece of yourself, your life, to make sure that this happens, because you're dedicating to it, and you have a better relationship with the thing, so you're gonna accomplish it more. Let me ask you a question. How many times you feel obligated to go to work? How productive are you when you're just obligated to go to work? Like, you at work, you mean, I don't even want to be here. So basically, you do the bare minimum when you're obligated. But when you're dedicated, you go over and beyond. So what we're going to do is we're going to change got to get so we could change from obligation to dedication. You switch your words from got to get, I get to do it. Now somebody want to know, Ed, why don't you go straight to the principles? How do I be productive? Your productivity or lack thereof is a result of your current level of consciousness. Your productivity or lack thereof is a result of your current way of perceiving it. Your productivity or not is on the basis of how you're thinking. So unless we refine your philosophy, you're not going to get to acting. So first of all, let's say it. When I get to create whatever it is I'm creating, I get to do this. First mentality. I am dedicated to doing this. Another mentality. Now this opens up doors for better productivity. All right, now that we got that down, you want to know, man, how do I really be productive? Let's say you're going to produce something in a factory. Yo, I'm about to produce whatever it is you're producing, toys, cars, whatever. And you have no blueprint for what it is you're producing. And you have no machines. So you have no raw materials, no blueprint, and no machines. Do you think you're going to get any of that thing done? I want you to stick with me here. Nah, it's really not going to happen because what? You don't have the system. You don't have the material that will go within the system to create the product. So what if you're laboring every day, but you don't have proper systems? What if you're laboring every day, you don't have your raw materials set up so you can create what you're creating? Do you think you're going to be productive? You're not. So think of an assembly line. Ford came up with a concept. He said, yo, you know what? Instead of us building one car at a time, what if we created stations that we can repeatedly repeat one repetitive task, and we outsource that task to somebody, and then we just pass it on along what we call an assembly line to produce the car, the vehicle. So Ford thought of that, and that's how he came up with the assembly line for his company, and that took that company up to the top. He was able to produce way more than the other factories who were simply working on a car at a time, and didn't have the enough machinery to make it happen. So somebody wanted to know, man, I don't care about Ford, bruh. I want to know more about Elon. Well, let me tell you, nothing is new underneath the sun. Now, what Ford did was he understood the concept of one. I'm going to tell you these are actual, not things I'm coming up with or the spirit is, these are things that are proven, researched. He batched activities. He created a system so that the system can create the product. So a lot of reason why you're not being productive with your business or whatever it is because you don't have a system. Not only don't you have a system, you don't have the raw materials ready so that when you need it, you're ready to go on it. And you don't have the steps set up already. This is the issue. Every day you have to not only do what you need to do, but you kind of have to figure out, okay, what's the step? And that in itself, the confusion is throwing off your productivity. So somebody want to know, man, so okay, what's the first step? Albert Einstein says this: if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's the secret, all right? Now, I want to tell you, these podcasts are amazing. So you want to make sure you share this podcast to 5 friends and comment done. So what Albert Einstein found out was, yo, if I fail to plan, I'm planning to fail because obviously I'm not setting up what I want. I'm just getting into whatever happens. Que sera, sera. And it isn't necessarily a bad thing to, free flow. But if you plan ahead of trying to do a bunch of stuff, you're going to be way more productive because what you're doing now, you're not going randomly, you're going by plan. Now, somebody said, man, I want to get straight to doing it. I don't have time to sit down and come up with a blueprint. And ain't nobody got time for that. Well, listen, you can't afford not to do it because guess what? You ain't going to have no time if you don't plan. Here's what I mean. If you don't plan ahead of time, you're going to be wasting more time in the process of. So you want to know more specifics? You want to know more specifics, right? How the planning looks like. Well, first of all, you want to invest in a journal. The specific is your planning must be done in a journal or project book. Now, I'm gonna give you a little blueprint, but keep tapping in with me here because this is a process. So you're like, all right, I have an assembly line, I got the blueprint, I got that boom, 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 bum, 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 bum. So how about sometimes what causes us not to be able to be productive is that we don't necessarily we don't know how to do the things we're about to do. So part of planning is what? Part of planning is also learning. So you have to also master certain things before you could start to do it. So let's say you need to use a software for your business. You need to use InShot to create some stuff. Wouldn't it be and you're like, okay, my goal is to create content for Instagram because that's how we market our businesses, right? And you're like, I don't even know how to. Best you learn InShot so that way you can start creating a system. That way you can start plugging it into the system so that way you can make it happen. Let's take another example. Let's say you had specific things that you did every single day. And what happens is you always have to, in the middle of your work, you have to go and look to see how to do it. What if you took out some time repeatedly throughout the week and you set yourself a learning time where you're going to learn about certain things that you need to know about because it's going to diminish the amount of wasted time when you try to do something? Wouldn't that help a whole lot? Of course it would. So basically, before to plan, it's important to learn. While you're planning, it's important to learn. And while you're acting, it's also important to learn because it's diminished the gap, the information gap. It's going to diminish the amount of stuff you need to figure out in order to do. How about you sitting right here and you're like, I'm about to create a website. But here's the thing. You don't have the system, you don't have the knowledge, nor the raw materials. What's going to happen? You're just going to sit there and like, where do I start? So what if you said, okay, instead of saying I'm going to build, instead of saying I'm going to build a website, you make that a goal. You set the goal to be in the future, but then you say, the first step today is I'm going to plan out the couple of steps I might need to build the website. So you're okay, I'm gonna need a website host, I'm gonna need a domain, I'm gonna need some images, I'm gonna need descriptions, I'm gonna need something for the home page, about page, the sales page. So you say, oh, this is the components of the website. So what is that? A plan. You write all of those things down. Why is that? Because now you are not gonna operate by randomness, you're just gonna pick out one part of it to work on. So you say, oh, okay, now let me research the website hosting platforms that I can put my website on. So now you start to do that as a research. And then you find out a website, and you're like, oh, let me learn how to utilize that. Then you find out about that. Then you say, okay, while I'm learning about how to utilize Squarespace or Wix or whatever, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to write the copy for my website. While I'm writing the copy for my website, I'm going to read certain books about copywriting during that week. So I'm going to do the important thing that's not urgent of feeding my mind with the information of how copywriting works. So I'm going to go on Google Documents, copyright the website, and as I learn about it, I'm putting the pieces together. Now you think, oh, I need some pictures too for this website. So you search the pictures. What am I doing right now? I'm gathering raw materials. Somebody said, wait, why don't I just do it when I start the website? Because not only does it get overwhelming trying to gather and create at the same time, it can get very confusing. So if you if you section and batch the activities of things that look alike, you're going to be more productive. Why? Because the amount of energy your brain is going to take is going to be less. Why? You ever seen somebody like doing a repetitive movement, repetitive work, and they just go super fast? Their brain literally just boom, boom, boom. That's what happened. So basically, batching your activities is an effective way to be more productive. So instead of putting the whole car together, you put the pieces together separately, and then you put the whole car together using a system. And over time, that system is more, now you can just say raw materials, put it in the system, boom. So let me bring you back. You create a system, you find the raw materials, Then you put the raw materials in the system with your labor. Then you turn your raw materials into a product. You get what I'm saying? I hope you're not getting confused here. I'm using these business terms, and it's like production, because this is what productivity is: producing something out of what God has already given you. So let's say you're a writer and you're like, you know what, I want to produce a book out of what God has given me. Now, mind you, I'm about to say this for myself, right? Because I need this message. So you're like, you know, I want to create a book for what God has given me. So you're like, okay, I need to create a process, a system, a procedure of doing so, of how to write a book with what God has given me. So in effort to write a book with what God has given me, what I need an assembly line for this book. So first, what do I need to do again? I need to get the system set up, the system of writing, the procedure. So what do I think I need? I need labor and time, and I need that to be consistent over time. So what I need now as a system, most likely, is going to be this: a place to write, a software to write on, and a time to do that. So allocating labor towards the time and having the system, the machine would be your computer or your phone, and then also consider your environment as part of the system, because especially when you're taking something out of your spirit to bring it out to the world, you're going to need a zen environment where you could flow, free flow. So first you think about, okay, this is how it's going to look like. And then what did I say? You batch activities. Instead of saying, well, let me write it, go straight into writing this book, which some people found to be very effective for them. To each his own, right? But what you can do is you can sit down and reflect. So first of all, one thing you know about writing a book is not only does it have a title, it have a subtitle, I think, or a descriptive. It's like, okay, grow through the pain, how to turn setbacks into setups for your life. Now you're like, okay, how did I grow through? Now you're gonna go back and think about what do you want? What's your intention for the book, right? And then if you were to teach somebody from step 1 to step 2, what was your process like? So before you can even start putting things in your system to create your book, what you gonna need? You're gonna need to plan so you don't fail. You're gonna need to plan so you don't plan to fail. Now, what is that doing? It's allowing you to put ideas. Now, out of those ideas, you can come up with chapter sections. And then now when you have all those chapter sections, you put that in a Google document. Now you're saying, okay, now I'm going to be more productive, because every day I don't need to say, oh, I need to write a book. Every day you're going to say, I need to write a piece of this chapter. And then now you take the first part of it, you work on a chapter a day, not the book. And this does not just apply to a book. This really applies to anything. So basically, if we want to be more productive, we want to section out our objectives into minute parts. We want to batch certain activities to diminish the amount of time spent wasted. So now I do a podcast every day. How am I able to do this podcast every single day and also have it in a way where it's able to go out? I've created a system for my podcast. So now after I'm done with this, after I'm finished with this part of the podcast, I'm going to take the audio. No, my video is recording on my computer. The system says while I'm doing this, it's being edited, right? I have my logo in the top left corner. I got the ticker right on the bottom. I'm about to say, hey, YouTube, if you're watching me live right now on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe. I'm about to put the YouTube thing up. There you go, right there. Click subscribe right there, YouTube. You see me. All right, now make sure you subscribe and like this video. What am I doing? System and procedures. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, now YouTube got it. Now, after I'm done with this, I take this video, what do I do with it? I put a thumbnail. I sit down, I take a picture, go to Canva, I have a pre-template, put it in there, I upload that to YouTube, cover page for my podcast. I upload that to Facebook, cover page for our podcast. And then I go on Trello, I write the description for the podcast, the title. I put all the links of where it went out live, in addition to the thumbnails, in one Trello board. And then now what I do with that is, when I'm ready to put it out to all the audio listening platforms, I go there, I find the original video, I extract the audio, and I turn the audio into my podcast. And I already have the description, I already have the title, I already have the episode number. I just upload it to anchor.fm. System completed. Now, how much time did I really waste not too much. The system is so effective now that I don't have to go think about, oh, I need to put the pieces for my cover together. No, that's too much. What you do is you put enough structure so that you only have to put an overlay to the pieces. And this is not just about thumbnails. This is about anything. You create a system where it becomes easier for you to do so. So, if you have to look for the sound for your podcast every time, too much time spent. So you already have your intro music, you already have your outro music. You already have you create stuff ahead of time so that way you can save time doing. You get what I'm saying? This is the assembly line that started from Ford and has been transpired into all things. So now, let's go back and do a review because I can talk because there's a lot of stuff downloading here, right? So you're like, okay, what's the review, Ed? So I said this. If you wanna be more productive, it's about producing in a short amount of time. So what you do is you do certain activities to create the system and structure so that way you only put in the raw materials and then there's a system in which the raw materials produces something out of it. Okay? So that's what I just explained to you how I do it on my podcast. Same thing I do with my morning Zoom calls, right? I took enough time to say, hey, how would this process look like for somebody to be in this tribe? What am I gonna host it in? So I found the host, I did the research. Each of these things are specifically in their own timing. Before I get to do the work, I create the system for the work to be done in. So think about it. Before you put in the work, have a factory for that work, a blueprint. Don't start the building until you have it finished, is what the master teacher, Jim Rohn, says. Don't start the building until you have it finished. So don't start the project until you have it finished. Somebody want to know, like, what you mean? Before you got the project done, have the project done in a project book. So now you have a project book, you're not thinking, what am I going to do next? No, you're like, this is what's next. So now what is that doing? You're able to take what's next and put it to timestamps. This is what's next, timestamp. This is what's next, timestamp. This is productivity. Now, they found out that people who work in increments from 5 to 10 to 20, 25 minutes with little minute breaks tend to be more productive because they have to keep checking into what they're doing. And also people who are analyzing their time, which means analyzing your time is saying, hey, where did I spend my time just now? So for instance, I had in here that between 9:30 and 10 a.m. I'll be doing Ed Talks podcast. Now, I was right on time, baby. That's right on time. So guess what I get to do now? I get to say I was right on time. So scheduled, actual. Remember, I've been giving you all my secrets for the free on Ed Talks Daily. So scheduled and I put actual. Now, what is that going to do? Integrity and discipline is about doing what you said you were going to do. And whether you are in one with your values or not is going to determine your self-confidence. If you want to be more productive, you need to have a certain thing that tells you, I do what I'm saying I'm going to do. This builds a momentum. So every time you look here and you say, my schedule is matching my actual, it means you are in one with what you said you were going to do. It is an integral part of integrity. Playing with words. Integer meaning one. When you're aligned with what you say you're going to do, boom. What is that going to do for you? Man, I'm accomplishing. Let's go. You checking things off right now. Check it out. Check that sucker off. Remember, every time you check off something, those are potential checks you're going to receive in the mail. So you got to look at those checks differently. But here's what I want you to also see. Just like your book is going to tell you how much progress you've gotten, your book will tell you how much time you've wasted as well. What is this going to do for you? Remember I told you it's either you're a producer or a consumer. A lot of time when you're consuming, you're taking time from producing. So you have to be conscious of the time wasters. So what I'll say to you right now is after this podcast, what you can do is you want to see where you're spending your time. Keyword, spend, because you're spending it like money. And guess what? You can't get it back. Oh no. So what if within you, God has something for you to bring out in this season, which means for some reason the Creator knows that your purpose here is this is the gift. And every time that you say, man, I ought to get it out, you don't even get out the ought to. You just, I never got to do it. This is what I mean. I ought to get what out? Get out the idea. What I've learned to do over the years was, at least if I don't get the action towards the idea, at least I got the idea out. Some of y'all are not even putting the idea out, which means God gave you your answers in the thought of an idea, and you're like, oh, I got a great idea, but I can't do it right now. No, okay, that's okay. You might not have the opportunity. If there's a will, there's a way, but you at least put the idea down. So now, over time, you could go back to the journal, look for those ideas, so you could create what? Plans. So then you could carry out those plans in a systemized fashion. Now, I have many different ways of organizing and systemizing. If you didn't know by now, I'm a C type too, which means organization is very part of the things that I do. Systems and procedures, I like those because it diminishes how much time I have to do. When I'm done with this podcast, 5 to 10 minutes, bada boom, bada bing, premiere on YouTube, tags already set up. I got a video for YouTube, a video for Facebook. I'm gonna get a clip out of this. It's gonna be on Instagram. By 12 a.m., I would have done most of my online tasks. 12 p.m. Now, I got coaching, I got speaking gig later, and I got just to be out here. And then I got emails going automatically. Why? Because I said, I don't need to be doing everything every day. I need to create the systems that are gonna do everything every day. And what I need to do is I need to show up. Y'all thought I was gonna let y'all go like that, huh? Listen, you don't just create the systems and I'm done. I just got the system. No. Just because you created the job don't mean that you don't need employees. Just because you're the chief executive officer in your life doesn't mean you don't work for yourself. You do. Which means you gotta show up to the job. This is what consistency and discipline is about. Now, I can have systems, but if I don't show up and speak, you think you're gonna see this? Nah, you're not gonna see this. It's just gonna go out of the blue. So part of having it is showing up. A lot of people, they got the system, but they don't show up. Let's say you got a website, a funnel that's gonna get people to your community or get whatever, but you just need to do a live video to tell them about, but you never really show up. Let's say you have, you gotta show up. So then somebody wanna know, yo, how do I build the consistent habit of showing up? Show up one time. And then you're like, oh, you just show up one time? But then you get to show up. If the mindset is, I gotta show up, you're not gonna show up. I got to. You're welcome. Shout out to Marcus Alexander. You're welcome, brother. So listen, if your mindset is like, yo, I gotta show up. I got to show up. No, you're not even gonna want to. So you gotta say, I get to do it today, man. Like, yo, I get to invest in this today, yo. And your mentality is gonna be different. Shout out to Janelle, by the way, for listening consistently. Appreciate you, Queen, for being a loyal listener of Ed Talks Daily. Hope this adds value to you. So what I'm saying is this: you can have the system, you can have the blueprint, you can have the plans, but if you don't show up, it means nothing. So part of being productive is showing up. Showing up. You know, and it's as simple as that. So show up for the appointment you had with your dreams. Because every time you don't show up, you're prolonging it. You're prolonging it. You're prolonging it. Now somebody says, well, I show up, but it seems like my dream is taking longer to happen. Now, I'm not an overnight success. Now, I'm not even overnight success. I am a overtime success in the making. I'm an overtime success in the making, which means over time, I'm creating my success. So I didn't overnight success. Nah. As you can see, I'm in a growth process. But in the process of, I am showing up. So somebody 5 years or 2 years from now, we're going to say. We're going to say 2 years from now. Just like I put in my vision statement, right? 2 years from now, somebody going to be like, Ed, how did you do all of that? Be like, okay, I showed up. I had system, procedures, and I showed up, and I just kept going. I didn't stop, and I kept doing the work. Yo, that's my message, and I'm sticking to it, y'all. I don't know where else you can find great information like this in this way. I guess I am gassing myself up a little bit, but why not, right? This is Ed Talks Daily. that wanted soon to be the number one podcast in the alternative medicine state in the United States. Somebody say, why you say that? It's called manifestation, baby. I know how it works. I believe it. Number one alternative health podcast. It's gonna happen. So now, how can he help me with that? Yo, I got a mission to really touch people's lives. And lately, God has been amazing me, because I remember a time when I was like, how am I gonna find words? I wanted to do it, but I'm like, how am I gonna find the words to keep saying? Now, I just need a subject, because the words are in me. So now I'm like, yo, God has been blessing my life with blessing me, giving me the insight on what I need to do to move forward through myself. And it's amazing to me. That's why I share these. And I have a mission of sharing that to millions of people. Like, I don't know why I need to, but I feel like God gave me a gift for a reason. And this gift, I have to bring it out. Why? I don't know. That's what purpose is about. It's just that it just is. So this is my mission. Like, I'm saying number one, not because I want to have a rank. It's because I want to touch more lives. So how you can help with that is very simple. A lot of people want to get, when this is number one, be like, man, Ed, congratulations that you number one. What if you leave me a review? You know that's going to help me get up there. So I am asking y'all listening to the podcast to go to edtalksdaily.com/reviews. By going to edtalksdaily.com/reviews, you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to leave me a review. And by doing so, guess what's going to happen? It's going to help boost the algorithm, so it's going to spread it to more people. All right, so go to edtalksdaily.com/reviews and leave one on the Apple Podcast app. All right, so I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for tapping in, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Now, here's the thing. What I discovered was you don't need to be perfect. You just need to strive to be in one with the divine. And by striving to be in one with the divine every single day, what's going to be happening is that you're going to tap into closer to the perfectionist of God. And then he's going to start to utilize you more and more. And you're going to start to realize that everything you thought you needed was already in you. God is revealing it through the dark times in your life. So it's a revelation process. And the dark night of the soul is there to allow you to know how bright you are. But you got to show up every single day and produce what's in your spirit, or else the world will forever miss all your talents, all your gifts, and all the great things that you got to offer. So remember, powerful beings, let your light shine. Don't hide it. Don't dim it. That's right. It's the Holistic Motivator. And I want to thank y'all for tapping into another episode of Ed Talks Daily. Stay in your power, stay blessed, highly motivated, and remember, show up. Peace.